Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lesson 3 of this study that we're doing called To a Life of Discipleship. In Lesson 1, we talked a lot about the new birth and how that really starts off the Christian life. It's actually a spiritual birth. In Lesson 2, we talked about the new life, which of course begins at the new birth. And that's a life filled with blessing, with adventure, with probably most important, walking with Him. In this lesson, we want to see how Jesus calls us to follow Him. And actually, over and over, as we read through the accounts of Jesus interacting with men and women, talking to them about the call to discipleship, usually at some point, He utters two words: follow me. Today, I'd like to share a little bit about my own personal story. I gave my life to the Lord when I was 10 years old, and during a vacation Bible school. And I believe it was genuine. Although, being only 10 years old, there's a lot of things I didn't understand. When I was 16 years old, though, I found myself in an inner struggle. I was living in Taiwan at that time, and I should probably mention I wasn't a bad kid. I was a good student, very good student probably. I was somewhat popular, involved in several sports teams, but I was really living for myself. In fact, myself, was the focus of everything I did, everything I thought about, everything I wanted. And I can remember meeting some other Christians at my age who were beginning to live a life of discipleship, and they were not living for themselves, they were living for Jesus. And somehow that really disturbed me. In fact, it bothered me that it disturbed me. And I think it's because I knew deep down that I wasn't living for Jesus because I was living for myself. And so for about 2 months, I went through this struggle. But God was very faithful. He kept bringing things into my path. He kept bringing people into my path, letting me know that He really wanted me to move to a new level with Him. One evening, I attended a meeting with some out-of-town guests, and they did a drama about the reality of heaven and hell. And this drama jolted me. In fact, I can still remember a large part of that drama, and it's been 47 years since that happened. But afterwards, someone spoke. I don't remember his name. I don't even remember what he looked like. But I do remember he talked about following Jesus and making Jesus Lord of our lives. And I knew that the Lord was calling me to follow Him. And I knew that this meant that I was not to live for myself. I couldn't live for Him and live for myself both at the same time. Well, after the message, the person talking led us in prayer, and I prayed. There's no call to come up front. There may have been a call to respond by raising your hand, but I can't even remember that. But what I do remember is that when I left that evening, I knew I'd made a very important decision. That I'd made a very important commitment, and it was a lifetime commitment. And ever since that evening, I see Jesus as my Lord, the one that I am following. I've never regretted it. I've never questioned it since then. And it's been a journey where I know that He walks with me every day. In fact, it's been an incredible journey. There may be some listening or watching this that may be in the same place. Jesus is calling you. He wants to be Lord of your life. He wants you to make a commitment to Him, a decision to follow Him with everything, a lifelong commitment. And I encourage you, as you go through this lesson, to make that decision, to make that commitment. I also encourage you that as we kind of read through these passages about following Him, that you read them very carefully. And let the words that Jesus spoke to men and women 2,000 years ago be words spoken to you directly. And as they responded to Jesus by following Him, you respond too. Living for yourself is a great big deception. It promises a lot of things, but it never leads to true joy, to true peace, to true life. Only denying ourselves and living for Him brings these things into our lives. Thank you, and may God speak to every one of you in this lesson.